Already signed in at the desk, we invite you to do that. Also know that on your table there are cards, so if you have questions that you want to have posed to the panel once we get started, you can begin thinking about those and jotting those questions down on the index cards. And also, ladies and gentlemen, there are refreshments in the rear of the room. So if you want to help yourself, grab a beverage or something before we get started. I think we're going to get started in a couple minutes. So if you want to grab something before then. And the owner of a Mitsubishi, red Mitsubishi Outlander, your lights are on. Okay. Thank you. At this time, I'm going to ask if you are a panelist, if you can take your seat at the front of the room. We'll get things going. All right, awesome. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Officially, I've said good afternoon and good morning to many of you. My name is Crystal Macklin. I am going to be your moderator slash facilitator this afternoon, just to help us keep the conversations moving, allow you to ask questions. Just a little bit about me. I am not a Richmond Heights resident. I'm a neighboring. I'm in the South Euclid Lyndhurst area, but I am a former educator, education for over 20 years. And again, my role today is really just to help facilitate the conversation and to moderate that. So the important people are you all and the folks up here at the front of the room. So I want to introduce them. And where's my other mic? I want to give them an opportunity. Oh, you got it. Okay, let's pass it. The first person I'm going to introduce is your board president, Slade Jackson, I'm sorry. And then we'll just pass it down. You want to introduce yourself and say a few words?
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Nanika Slade Jackson. I get the distinct honor of serving our community as the president of the school board. I'm actually in my third term now, in the middle of it, or almost the end. of my third term, and it's been an honor and a pleasure. I'm also the mother of a 10th grader, Kingston, who is hanging out around here because they just got back from diversity camp. So I can't wait to hear all about it. But thank you again for coming.
Hi, my name's Cooper Martin. I'm the treasurer of Richmond Heights Local Schools. I started here in May of 2018. In many ways, I feel blessed that I came here at a big transition when the community helped to get this building underway and start many of the changes that have gone on since I've been here, and have enjoyed to watch, and just been happy to work with the board and the community, and look forward to it.
Hello, my name is Bobby Jordan. I am your Richmond Heights City Council president. I used to be on the school board and was on the school board when this lovely school building that we are in was constructed. Now I've moved on to the city, and I'm just here to represent Richmond Heights city government in support of our school system.
Thank you. My name is David Conley. I am a financial consultant. I provide guidance relative to funding school operations. I work for the district. I also work for the city. So I'm here just to answer any questions related to how schools are funded or how the city might be funded, things like that.
And then last but not least,
Good afternoon.
Yes.
I am Marnisha Brown, superintendent for the Richmond Heights Local School District. I've had the pleasure of serving in this role since January. As you all know, our former superintendent went on to another role impacting public education on the state level. And I had the opportunity to move into this role. One thing a lot of folks don't know is that the board was very prudent in ensuring that there was a transition plan within the district so that the operations of the district continue no matter who is in the seat. So we always had a plan, and that never faltered or wavered. I've been with Richmond Heights Local School District for 10 years. This is my 10th year. So I've been here. I've worked alongside all of the work that you see being produced today and all of the work that we're going to continue to do. So I want to thank everyone for coming, as well as our folks in virtual land. We have folks tuning in to see what we are going to do today, and also to partner with us in our discussion. So thank you.
thank you guys. Hold on to it for a second. So I just want to remind everybody that this is the first in a series of conversations that the district will be hosting. So tell your friends, if you are the one on your block, remind everybody to show up. The next one will be in June. The date is to be announced. I also want to acknowledge some other folks that may be in the room. Do we have any city council members that are here? All right. What about, well, we know who you are. The concerned taxpayers of Richmond Heights, any members here? All right. Thank you, guys. Any other board members? Wonderful, wonderful. And then any community partners? Wonderful, thank you. And then last but not least, any staff or students present? Wonderful. All right, well, thank you. So let's get things rolling. On your tables, you're going to see several things. There's some paper there for you to take notes. Most importantly, there are index cards there for you to document any questions that you would like to have answered. So if you have a question, just hold it up and one of us will come around and grab it. There is a box there that has some sticky notes and other things that you may need. So please help yourself. If there's something that you need and you don't see, just let one of us know. All right. So let's start with some questions. And I lost Brittany. Does anyone have a question that they've already written down that they want me to grab? All right. Well, I have one up here for sure. Question number one for the panel. Has our district considered merging with any other school district?
Thank you for that question. That was a question that we received a lot during our campaign in March. Why not just merge? Why not just merge with another district? Richmond Heights is small. It has always been small. Why not merge? Well, the story behind the merger is, of course, it is possible. But the way that the merger happens is not as simple as we think. So you have to merge with a contiguous school district. And out of the school districts around us, those four are Mayfield, Willoughby Eastlake, Euclid, and South Euclid. Those are the four districts that if a merger were to take place, those are the districts that we could possibly merge with. Dr. Willis, our previous superintendent, we did meet with all of the superintendents of those four districts. And we have to remember that in order to merge, a district has to find it advantageous and they have to ask. Out of the four, only one considered it. Others were saying, no, our board, our community, no, they're not on board. But the one that raised their hand and said, hey, this would be a windfall for us would be Euclid. Now, Euclid's thought behind it was we can keep the district, the school there, just call it the Richmond Heights Euclid branch. The difference that it will cause is that the Richmond Heights residents will now assume the Euclid tax millage. For them, that was a windfall. We have a very healthy tax valuation in Richmond Heights. So for them, they saw that as a win-win for them. So what it would do, and we always talk about tax increases, it would significantly increase the taxes in our district and for our residents' property taxes, because we would have to assume their tax millage and there would be no vote in regards to it. At that time, when that discussion came about, of course, the thought was we could bring it to the community, but we were sure that with their tax millage and what the increase would cost for our residents, that it would not be an advantageous situation for our district. So merging has been on the table. There has been one school district in Ohio that I can remember that has actually merged, and that was the Berkshire-Ledgemont School District. Berkshire was a school district that was in financial ruin. The state asked Ledgemont to take on Berkshire and stated that if you take on Berkshire, we would absolve that debt. At that time, they had about less than 400 students in their entire district. So that is the only merger that of recent time that I can remember. But merger has been on the table, and it has not been an advantageous effort for our district. Anybody else want to add to that?
Back when I was first elected to the school board, that conversation was coming up a lot, and kind of looked at it. And you got to understand, as our superintendent said, a district is going to look and say, what do you have that we can use? And facilities are important. What facilities do they got there that we can use? Now, we are a small school. Our gym is there. We don't have a football field, so they can't use that. We don't have a track, so they can't come and practice the track. We have nothing that attract another city. And people got to understand also, as you're saying, you're going to pay higher taxes. All those surrounding cities, they pay higher taxes, and you would absorb those taxes. So you got to look at everything when you say, let another city combine with us. We're small, but we are very mighty. And I think we need to just develop some pride and see how we can work our own city to keep our schools here.
Thank you, guys.
And Ms. Macklin, just to add to,
Sure.
I don't know if everyone remembers, but we were a part of the Euclid School District back before the annexation when we were Clarabelle. So there was an annexation then, back when it was farmland here in Richmond Heights. So I believe the thought of merging came out of the history that people are aware of for the city. But today, it just is not as advantageous as it appears to be.
Thank you. Are there any follow-up questions that anyone wants to ask or clarifying questions? I'm gonna be Phil Donahue today. I'm amongst people who know who Phil Donahue is. I say that to young people, and they're like, "Who?"
Thank you. Explain to me that if we merged with another city, why we would have to absorb also their taxes. If we're already paying for Richmond Heights, why would we be now paying a second city's taxes? I don't understand it. I don't.
Okay, did everyone hear the question? Okay. When a school district merges with another school district, so there is a surviving school district in a district that no longer exists. So in this case, Richmond Heights would no longer exist. It would become a part of that other community. So that community's tax structure becomes your tax structure. So if that community currently has taxes higher than your taxes, you then start paying the taxes that residents of that community will pay. In addition to that, this community has certain taxes in place that still have to be collected. So for this particular building, you all borrowed money. The bonds that are outstanding for this building, you still would have to pay the taxes to pay for this particular building. So you would have the tax responsibility for this, as well as the tax responsibility for the new district that you would become, and that would be higher than what you're paying today. You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other follow-up questions or clarifying questions? All right, question number 2. How much funding will we get from the new mall complex?
So there isn't a number that I'm really going to give you. I'm the treasurer here, and I monitor all of this. Due to agreements with the city for community reinvestment areas and state grants, there's a 15-year 100% abatement for the CRA, and then it's going to continue for another 15-year under a state urban grant program. We would get a minimal amount only based on our inside millage, and it's been 100% abated. So other than any future discussions that could happen, may not happen, it's just a very small amount of what's possibly the valuation that might come of it. Oh, okay. So when we think about the new development, everyone that's lived here knows that there's the Sears. To east of that is our school district. To the west of that is South Euclid-Lorraine. So the retail and the income that comes from retail and corporates, that's going to go to South Euclid. For Richmond Heights Local School District, there's the condominiums, apartments, that sort of thing. So those are going to bring whoever those families, residents are, those are going to come into our district and very possibly increase students and the need for services that will come to our district. So when we think about this project, you have to think in 2 different arenas. One, all the income taxes and the school district taxes will go to South Euclid-Lyndhurst for that particular area of the project. We will absorb any students or needs for education on our side of the project, and we don't have an income stream from that due to the abatement.
So, in short, as Cooper stated, we would only be responsible or receive the condominium portion, which means no retail. It will be students and families. That is all that the Richmond Heights Local School District would receive, because on the Sears portion, the only thing that is being developed are apartments.
Thank you. There's a follow-up question.
I just want to be clear that nothing will come to the Richmond Heights schools based on the construction of the new Myers.
Correct. That would be, if anything, South Euclid Lyndhurst.
Hold on, they can't hear you online. There you go.
I want to thank Dr. Ackerman for stating that, because in my generalization, I just look at all retail on that side, and Meyer is a big contributor. And thank you for that.
Any other follow-up questions regarding the Richmond Heights, the Richmond Mall Complex? All right, we have another question. It says, can we partner with the Cuyahoga County Airport so the city can benefit from tax revenue generated? Will we or can we partner with the Cuyahoga County Airport so the city can benefit from tax revenue generated?
So when you say city, were they meant to say schools, you think?
I'm thinking schools, yes. So that the school can benefit from the tax revenue.
Yeah, that would be.
In analysis, and we've worked with David on this quite a bit too, that CRA encompasses the airport. So to the extent that those properties negotiate with the county for reductions, the county owns the property. We may get some income on the buildings, and then it's really up to the Board of Revisions on what happens there. There is no partnership necessarily. There's just the law that states what taxes can do and can't do, and we get the calculations from the county. And those should be consistent because they have been for years. So the only difference would be the community assistance with whatever their value is at the time.
Let me just, for one quick second, does everyone know what a CRA is? Okay, right. We throw a lot of terms around because we live in this world every single day. Many years ago, the country was going through a decline. There were a lot of areas that had become blighted. And the federal government, in an effort to try to stimulate economic growth, created territories that any business that would build a business, in some cases they were factories and warehouses, but any business that would be willing to build a business in an area could do so without having to pay taxes on that building for a period of 15 years. And those areas were called Community Reinvestment Areas, CRA. Richmond Heights has a number of CRAs where a business can come in and be granted a complete exemption from taxes for 15 years. So when it comes to finding the ability, like when you have economic development happening, now keep in mind, economic development is important. I mean, you all need jobs, you need places here, but schools rely on property taxes. And if a business locates in a CRA, that business is not required by law to pay taxes to the school district. And that's kind of the challenges that the school district runs into with these particular areas. So the question about the airport, there's two parts to that question. One is there are parts of the airport that are in a CRA, but the airport is a government. It's by default exempt from taxes because it's a government. Even so, that being said, the key word partnership, somebody asked, is it possible to partner? The answer is yes. It's always possible to partner, but it takes two willing parties at least to have a partnership. So if you go to the county, you go to the airport and say, we'd like to partner with you to help grow the school district, that partner has to say, yeah, we're willing to do something with you. Well, we haven't had much success in getting another party to necessarily want to partner with the school district. Now, I'm not casting any blame on these other folks. They have their own financial responsibilities. In some cases, they don't necessarily see an advantage to partnering with another government. So if we can't show them an advantage to doing so, they're not willing necessarily to partner with us. But in general, you've got territories within this region that are deemed community reinvestment areas. Because they are, we would not receive property taxes from them. And then you have governments in the area like the city, the airport, the library, that are all governmental entities that have their own financial needs that can possibly partner with the school district, but don't necessarily have to partner with the school district. Is that helpful?
I'm going to ask you to hold the mic for 1 second.
Yeah.
We've heard a couple of times, we've heard Ms. Brown say it about the advantages of maybe a school district merging with Richmond Heights. You spoke about advantages for companies or government entities to merge. What are some of the things that they consider as advantages that would make them want to partner with the school district?
For example, so the number one reason that people partner, so let's just think about marriages, there's typically some advantage to having a partner, right? Someone can do, you combine incomes, and that way you can build a larger house, or, one person is better with the kids than the other. I mean, you have all these reasons for partnering. With governments, it's the ability to provide a broader range of services for the same cost. Like, can we do more with the same amount of money? And it's the same with corporations. So if a corporation buys another corporation, their goal is to become more efficient. You can use sort of the infrastructure of another company and leverage that opportunity to make more money. So when you look at partnerships between governments, like in the case of merging two school districts, the acquiring school district would be looking at the opportunity to expand either its revenue stream, because they then get your tax base, while at the same time not necessarily increasing their operating costs. So, for example, could an acquiring school district use the same number of teachers that they have, the same buildings that they have, take your students into their system and your current taxes into their system without having to spend more money? That becomes advantageous to them and would drive them to want to partner with you or merge with you. And the same would be true for any other entity. In some cases, if you're lucky, you find a partner that wants to do something just because it's the right thing to do. In some cases, I have clients where we have economic development activity that's happening in a CRA, but the business that comes into the CRA says, we feel like it's our social responsibility to be supportive of the government's, or at least the school district, that isn't getting the income or the property taxes from our business because we're located in a CRA. So in other words, even though they are legally exempt from being partners with the school district, socially they feel like it's appropriate to partner with the school district. So you can have those circumstances as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let me try to get you, make everybody understand the situation that we're in. Like, for example, our initial meeting with Myers, I'm always pushing relationship. What are you bringing to our city? Just don't build a building in our city. What are you bringing? Our school need things. What are you going to do? And they said that they have programs where they donate money to the school district based on their yearly annual gross. They got a percentage that they will give back to the schools. And I'm going to hold them to it. Now, these were our initial meetings. Our past administration did not drive relationships. They did not drive that when you build in our city, you got to have a relationship with our school. That wasn't important to them. See, that's important to this administration. You're going to build in our city, but what are you going to do to our school district? Because we know it doesn't matter how good, how much money the city has, and our mayor is doing a good job. The schools is what drives the city. And if you're going to have a building here and you making money in our city, well, you need to support our schools. So you're going to see a different type of relationship now when people come in and try to build in our city, because you're going to have a relationship with our city. We stress it. We talk about it. It's the conversation we have right from the beginning and throughout that process. So understand that when you're talking about past stuff. FlexJet, I wasn't on council when FlexJet first started. I wasn't there. But from now on, anything else is coming, you're going to have a relationship with our schools. It's just simple as that. Every other city does it. Every city does it. Over in South Euclid, when they built that hotel over in South Euclid, over there at Legacy Village, they gave the school $600,000 right up front. They got all that CRA and the TIFs. They got all that. But they understand that they got to, when they come in the city, they got to establish a relationship. Right up front, they gave the schools money. And every year they give the schools money. That's a relationship. That tells me that you want to be a part of this city. You're just not here to have and make money in our city. And that's what we got to be looking for. I just want to make sure you guys understand that.
I'm going to let you speak in a moment, Ms. Brown. We have a follow-up question.
On that note, so things in the past can't be changed, right? And moving forward, we hear good relationship building, that's the desire of the council. Is there anything, though, that the community members of Richmond Heights could do in an effort to say, hey, look, we see you, Bell Oaks, we see you, FlexJet, we're going to write some letters. We want to know how we can appeal to you as the people who live here in Richmond Heights to say, look, that's not right. That may have happened with the administration in the past, but what do we do right now as Richmond Heights residents to move forward and say, that's still not going to fly? How do you, I remember Mrs. Brown saying at the State of the Schools, how do you make your school district whole? Is there something that the community members can do right now and say, going forward, that's not going to fly? What do we do as a community? Is there anything that can be done? What do we do?
So that's a great question. And I think Council President Jordan can probably give us a little more insight as to specificity. But I think beginning with what we're doing today, showing up to be a part of the conversation, continuing to rally neighbors and friends to help them understand the nuances, because a lot of times we are on the outside looking in and we don't understand the intricate details of, how to move the needle. And when we come to events like this and we get the facts, it's going to be very important for you all in the audience, whether it's here in a closed room or on your street, talking at the coffee house or whatever, to be clear about the facts and not let people hijack the narrative just amongst the community to start with. The other thing is showing up at a council meeting, showing up at a school board meeting, showing up at possibly a joint council and school board meeting to be vocal about what it is that you want to see. Not just for those of us who sit in these seats as leaders, but for the entities that are striving to be a part of this community. Your voices are critical. It's not enough to have city leadership or school leadership drive the conversation without having input from you. And so I think this is a great first step. My heart is full because the room is full, and I'm hoping that there are more people on line as well. But we've got to do a better job as a community showing up and being vocal about what it is that we want to see. This is our community. No one gets to come to our community and be a cancer to this community, to be toxic to this community. We all have invested in our homes here. We've invested in education here, and we deserve an abundance of whatever it is that we have coming to us in our community. And if we don't demand it, we won't get it. So starting with today, this is a great first step.
That was a great question that you brought to us. And you got to understand, we're a small community. We're only 10,000 people. And when you're that small, communication should be easy. This room should be packed. It really should be packed. You got to understand, back in the day, when there wasn't cell phones, There wasn't internet. And when there was a meeting, everybody showed up to that meeting because of word of mouth. When you come, you got to grab your neighbor. Look, you got to come with me. You voted for us in these seats. Okay, your vote. We represent the community. It's not my agenda. It's the community's agenda. I got to hear what your agenda is. You got to come to meetings. You got to bring more people. It's power in numbers. When I can talk to Myers and say, listen, my community is saying this. I'm not talking 50 people. I'm talking hundreds and thousands of people are saying this, Myers. We need your support. That's big. We got to start moving the needle. Everybody got to come to these meetings. We got to get 100% of the facts. We have some of the most educated people in the Northeast Ohio in Richmond Heights. But unless you get 100% of the facts, what are you voting on? What information are you getting if you're not getting 100% of the information? So we got to have people here. So as community grows, as you leave these meetings, you got to spread what you heard and tell them the next meeting is this date and you need to come. I think it's very important that we continue these conversations, continue to come, and we start moving the needle in Richmond Heights. Anybody else want to say?
And Ms. Brown, we're going to close this segment with your comment, and then I'm going to tell you what we're going to do next.
Thank
Which
you.
I think is a good segue.
Thank you. Just to add to the conversation, what can we do? Communication and as we said, partnership. And I think it's important to understand that we live in a time in the community where everyone has an opinion and everyone has a thought and an idea. But one thing that I would like for us to do more of is to share our ideas with one another in a way where we can sit down and talk and discuss. I think it's very important that we do that so we model for our kids, our students, how do we make change? How do we advocate? How do we get the facts? I think that it's also important that we understand that the schools and the city are working collaboratively. And what does that mean? That does not mean that we are in cahoots per se. It means that we are trying to find a shared vision, a shared pathway forward to benefit the community. One of the things that we put on the screen is there's an email address. We want to keep that dialogue and that conversation open. If you have a question, if there's something that you don't understand, if there's something that you want to offer, share it with us so that we can get back with you. But if we stay in our silos and everyone keeps their own mindset of what they think is happening or not happening, we cannot progress forward. So as President Jackson said, this is our first step. We want to make sure that our next meetings are not here. We want to go into the community. We want to hear your thoughts or how we can do better or what you perceive is happening within the district so that we can share the truth, because we're only as strong as one another. So I think as President Jackson and Council President Jordan stated, the communication and collaboration are key, because there are some deep issues in regards to how we move forward and make our schools better. But those issues and those decisions cannot be made in a silo. And once information comes out, it's important that we come back together to discuss the implications. So that's our thought. Working together, collaboration, thought partner.
Awesome. Thank you. The panel has said a couple things that rung with me, and I think it's a great segue to our next activity, which is there are facts, and then there are some things that have maybe been spread that are myths. So that's going to lead us to our first activity. And I've put the directions here on the screen, but I will also talk you through it because I know it's not the largest. So what you have on your table are some sentence strips. For those of you at home that are streaming in, you are going to also see these statements that your colleagues here in the room have. We're going to pass out some chart paper, and what we want you to do at your tables, and if you're a table of one or two, feel free to combine to have a few more heads around the table. You're going to take each statement and you are going to classify it as myth or fact. All right, so this is a quiz, so to speak. You are in a school, by the way, so it's appropriate we have at least one quiz. All right, so we're going to give you time to do that. What I invite you to do while you're working at your tables is please if you need to stand up, refresh your beverage, grab a refreshment, use the restroom, please use that time to do that. Those of you at home, what we're going to ask you to do is in the chat, you can classify which statements, you can number them, which statements you see are facts and which ones that you see as myths, okay? So we'll keep track of that in the chat. If you have any questions about what I'm asking you to do, please raise your hand. For our friends that are at a table without a tablecloth, we're going to ask you to come and join a table up front. Oh, there. Okay. I didn't want to show the answer. All right, and for those of you at home, I've just put on the screen the statements that your friends here have. Remember, in your boxes, there is tape. So you can tape your statements or glue them. They're glue sticks as well. We want you to glue them because we are going to ask you to hang those up. And I'm going to give you about 10 minutes to do this. Okay, I'm going to set my timer. As your table completes their chart, please use the wall over here to my left. You can hang it up because we want to take a look at everyone's responses. Remember to actually tape or glue your sentence strips onto the paper. I know I saw one group that used Post-it notes and just stuck the numbers on there, however you want to do it, because we are asking you to hang it up. And I'm going to give you guys about 5 more minutes. So govern yourselves accordingly. Oh, thank you. I'm going to give you guys the 2-minute warning. So make sure you tape your responses down and hang them on the wall. For our folks at home, make sure you are classifying the statements in the chat for us. You have less than a minute, so make your final selections and hang it on the wall for us. Again, for our friends at home, make sure you are putting your numbers in the chat. Yeah, and again, if you have not had an opportunity to grab a snack, please do so. All right. I know my friends at home can't hear my alarm, but everyone here can. So I'm going to ask us to come together. If you're back there getting a snack, stay getting a snack, because all I'm going to do, let me have everybody's attention really quickly. Before I reveal the answers, I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to take a look at what other tables classify, see what you see as similarities and differences between what your table decided. Again, if you haven't had an opportunity to get a snack, we're going to ask you to do that. If you have not had an opportunity to jot a question down, please use that time for that. So this is kind of a combination, but I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to do that. Okay? If we had some folks that just came in, during this 5 minutes as well, there is a table up front that is actually 2 tables up front that are empty. So we invite you to come forward where there's a tablecloth. And yes, and please register. You have a QR code if you haven't done it, or if you'd like to do it at the table, there is 3 computers available for you to sign in. All right, any questions about what I'm going to give you time to do in this next 5 minutes? All right, time starts now. You guys aren't interested in what your fellow attendees said? Nobody's getting up. So no, you just want to know if you're right? That's something different. We're going to do something with that in a moment. Yeah. 2-minute warning. Got about 30 seconds left. All right, that is time. I don't know why my alarm didn't make noise this time. But if we can come back together, I'm going to reveal the answers. And I'm also going to ask that my panelists, if you guys could rejoin us at the front of the room, because I have a feeling that there are going to be some questions or some things that need to be clarified as a result of the answers. So panelists, if you can join us back at the front. And I'm going to start with, and I don't know, for my tech people, I can, you guys hear the echo? Is somebody on the phone? Oh, okay. Yeah, if you are live streaming this as well on your phone, just make sure you turn your volume down because I keep hearing a faint echo. Okay, thank you. All right, here we go. Number one, the Richmond Heights schools are failing. Would y'all say fact or myth? Myth is correct. Myth is correct. Ms. Brown, do you want to clarify what is meant by failing versus not failing? Oh, did y'all turn us off? Okay. All right.
All right. So failure or success, unfortunately, is determined by the Department of Education and Workforce, formerly known as Ohio Department of Education. They rank schools each year by their academic performance based on a test or a series of tests that students engage in the month of April. The Richmond Heights, as of last year, our report card, our school district is not considered a failing school district. Our school district is rated a 3-star overall. There are a total of 5 stars that a school district can receive. Our school district received 3 stars, which meets state standards. Our high school received 4 out of 5 stars, which exceeds state standards. Our high school was released from the Ohio School Improvement Status back in January. This was a status that we were placed in back in 2017 based on our graduation rate, not because we were not graduating students, but because our students with disabilities are able to attend school beyond 4 years if their plan allows for them to. What was happening was that the federal law was in direct contradiction of the state law because the state allows students with disabilities to stay in school up until the age of 21. The federal law stated that if you're not graduating students in 4 years, no matter of their disability, you get deemed. So we were placed in school improvement status back in 2017 solely because of our graduation rate. As a result of that, we were removed from that because if you look at our report card and our past report cards, we have met the mark in regards to graduation rate. Another component of the improvement status that is a myth as well, the high school also received the Momentum Award this school year for last year's performance, meaning they are making significant academic gains. So there is a myth that the schools are failing, that they have been failing, but we are not. None of our schools, not our middle school, high school, or elementary school, are considered failing schools or improvement schools based on the data from the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce.
Thank you. All right, so number 2 was the high school has a graduating class of 50 and students are not matriculating. So this one actually is on both sides, fact and myth. So does someone want to clarify if part of that is fact and part is myth? Tell us why that's on both sides.
So part of that is fact, part of it is myth, meaning your graduating class is your graduating class. The number 50, while it's small, Richmond Heights has had small classes. Back in our heyday, we had maybe 1,100 students district-wide, pre-K through 12. Right now, we're at about 850. So our classes are small classes, and they have always been. That's been one of the draws for families that have been enrolling in our district, that they get that personalized attention. So we did have the 50, which if you look at the report card, was over 96% graduation rate. We are moving, the other part of it was that we're not matriculating. They are. So again, if you look at the data, the cohort is what the cohort is. When the kids start in 9th grade, we track that cohort. That is the same cohort that the state utilizes to determine your graduation rate. So it doesn't start in the 12th grade. They don't look at your 12th grade and say, well, you have 700 kids, you should be graduating 700. They start from 9th grade. Your 9th grade is a cohort. Those kids travel. So if kids leave the district, we have to be able to tell the state where they're at. And if they don't even graduate where they're at, that dings us. So our students are matriculating. This school year, when you look at the report card, you will see that we have a 100% graduation rate.
And so let's also clear that up. So if you guys didn't hear that, I'll restate it. So if a student starts the 9th grade in Richmond Heights, but then transfers to another district and does not graduate, that non-graduate is counted against Richmond Heights, even though they finished their high school career somewhere else.
If they finish.
If they finish.
If they finish.
And is the reverse true? So if a student comes into the district as, let's say, a 10th grader, whose graduation rate are they attributed to?
Wherever they started their cohort.
Okay, thank you. And then there's a follow-up question, I think, to that.
There's a part of me that would want to restate the question, but I'll look past that and ask you to speak about those students who are taking college courses while they are enrolled in high school.
So we have a contingency of students that take what we call College Credit Plus. They can start as early as 7th grade. But we have students that spend half of their day, some of them here, taking courses, and then the other half at Tri-C, Lakeland Community College. They can pick the institution of their choice. Some students, by the time they become juniors and seniors, spend their entire day on the college campus. We also have professors here, adjunct professors here, that instruct and teach college courses here. So our students have that ability, and they are taking advantage of that. We also have AP courses. So there's a misnomer that we do not have the offerings that our students require or desire. And all of those things are happening here in the district.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to skip number 3 because you did speak to that about the high school being a 4-star out of 5. So if you didn't hear that, that is a fact. So let's go to number 4. The athletic complex is non-compliant according to OHSAA, which is the Ohio High School Athletic Association, if you don't know what that acronym stands for. And that is a fact. That is a fact. The high school complex is non-compliant. Does anyone want to speak to that?
It's pretty straightforward. It's
Okay.
non-compliant, meaning we cannot utilize the football field, the track, the stands. So our teams are not permitted to practice or play here in Richmond Heights. We currently now, for our track team, we transport them to Cleveland Heights University Heights, Monticello Middle School. That's where we use their track facility. Our football coach, who also is one of our track coaches, is back there. He goes throughout multiple communities to try to find fields for the young men to play on and to actually host games. So we have not hosted a home game, football game in Richmond Heights since our football team returned, and it'll be 3 years.
Okay, thank you. Number 5, the school district is mismanaging funds. That is a myth. All right. Number 6, the upper school and other facilities are open to the community for shared use. That is a fact. That is a fact. And what I want you to make a note of, remember, if you have any follow-up questions as a result of some of these things you hear, please feel free to jot those down on index card. And for our folks at home, please feel free to put that in chat. Dr. Ackerman?
Yes, I'd like for the treasurer to address the mismanagement of funds question, to put some light on that.
So as I mentioned, I've been here since 2018. We've built a beautiful building. We've been good stewards of the money. During this project, there was just much oversight and work done by our superintendent, myself, the board, to control our costs. You're sitting in a building that is one of the few buildings that was built in the money that you voted on. Watch the papers, you'll find that is uncommon. We worked hard, we have a beautiful building, and as part of managing those funds, in the end, there were some of the monies that you have to use for your deposits and that sort of thing that we were careful with. We just repaired a roof because it was leaking. What? Because the elementary roof just sprung all kinds of leaks. My forecast, we monitor the cash monthly, and I'm proud to say that it is accurate. And you can see that by looking at what I said in November and what you're going to see in May and where we're ending the year. We're not mismanaging money. We are very frugal with it. And from time to time, we have events that come up that stretch us, just like you would at your home. In December of 22, we had 14 pipe breaks, but we had to pay for that up front before the insurance could come back to us a year later. So when we talk about our needs, it's not just educating our students, it's also preparing for those unexpected happenings. And I'm willing to just discuss anybody that has questions, please send them to me. And I appreciate that question, Dr. Ackerman, because I think over the years we've seen we're good stewards, and we'll continue to do that.
Thank you. What I'm going to do, I'm just checking the time because I want to make sure we are able to get to the other questions and the other activity. I'm going to share, whoops, there it is. I'm going to share with you all of the answers because I won't get to all of them. But one of the ones, oh, I'm sorry, yes.
I just wanted to add,
Sure,
in terms
go
of the mismanagement of funds question as well. So in addition to the internal monitoring of the financial operations of the school district, there's 2 external entities that look at the school district's financial operations and performance. The first is the state auditor's office. Every year, the state auditor sends auditors out to the district to audit their financial statements, to audit the processes that they use to control the spending of money to make sure that theft can't happen, things of that nature. And as I understand, the district has received what they call a clean audit, meaning that nothing has been found that would indicate any type of mismanagement. The second external source, you guys are familiar with your credit, your personal credit score, right? When you use your credit card and you get that score of 800 on your credit, you guys monitor that all day long. School districts have the same thing, except instead of it being TransUnion or Equifax, it's Moody's or Standard and Poor's, maybe companies that you've heard of before. The school district is monitored by Standard and Poor's. Standard and Poor's has issued and maintains a credit score on the school district of an A+. A+ means that it's the equivalent credit score of you having a 750 on your personal credit. So the district has two external, no bias in terms of how they look at things. So the issue of mismanagement is not an issue, quite frankly. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So as you've had time to engage with these statements and your answers, is there anything that surprised anyone or any ahas you've had as a result of this activity that you'd be willing to share? Anything in chat? All right. Okay, so let's move on then to our, I'm sorry. Yes, let me make my way down there. I'm getting all my steps in today. Thank you, guys.
For our particular group, we looked at question 9, which I think is worded a little differently on the screen. Question 9 on the posted is keep coming back to the community for more money. We thought that was kind of a trick statement. So if someone could speak to that.
Yeah, so the simple answer to that question, so that question is asked is a little bit difficult. Every school district in Ohio, there's 607 school districts in the state of Ohio. Each one of those school districts has to come back to its taxpayers every so often to ask for new taxes. So you cannot escape that particular question. It is true that every school district in Ohio keeps coming back to voters. But it is also true that every school district can attempt to make that time frame longer and longer and longer. So instead of it being every 5 years or every 10 years, even in some cases, school districts can get to the point where they can maybe go 20 years before they come back to the voters. But in order to do that, you have to receive taxes from new business development. So, CRAs work against that type of a financial structure because school districts largely get their money from property taxes. And if your property taxes are abated, then the district isn't receiving additional money to keep up with inflation. So they have to come back to the other taxpayers for that money over time.
Thank you. Did you want to add something?
I just want to add that I believe everybody knew what was myth and what was fact. And the important thing is don't keep it to yourself. Go to your neighbors and your friends. When you hear them say something that is not true, tell them what you know. That is not true. They are educating. They are teaching. They're not stealing money. Tell them what they see. Negatively spreads much faster than positive. And you got to start spreading the positive information that you know, which is fact. And we can start to get this thing changed around.
And please note that it's been 7 years since we passed our last levy. So we've had the privilege of being able to stretch out our time frame from coming to the community from what was typically every 3 or 4 years to 7. So
Thank you. And I think we're at a good place to kind of segue into Q&A segment number 2. And I've got some other financial questions, so this is right in line. Here's a question. This was from someone that is streaming in. What is the estimated cost of students of the Richmond Heights district utilizing vouchers to attend other schools? And then the follow-up to that is the use of vouchers deducted from Richmond Heights revenue?
So I'm going to have to answer that historically because of the change in the law. Prior to the change in law where the state is paying for vouchers, we we were being deducted $1.2 million. That's a $15 million budget, deducted 1.2 million. And this is where I don't want to get too technical, but if I were to give you 27 cents for what you do, but I had someone else do it and I took $1 from you, what is the net on that? That's what the state was doing when we were in the voucher. So we were losing 73% of our local money that the state was sweeping. We weren't getting it. They wouldn't say that we were giving local money. They would just say we aren't giving you ours. And so at that time, it was 1.2 million. In the current formula, the state pays for those vouchers, but they pay for it out of the same line item. So they'll tell you it doesn't affect us. Again, it's money that we don't spend or can't spend because they continue to increase the number of vouchers, private schools, and many of this is given to students who have never attended a public school, and it continues to increase. So that, when I try to answer this question, in both cases, the state is using the money that was in the line item for public schools. It's just they used to give us a portion of it and take more away than they gave us. Now we just don't, it's just not in the budget. We cannot track where all our vouchers go anymore because as soon as they change the law, it's not transparent to us. We used to know where every student was. ODE has recently begun to put statistics up now about their charter schools, and we're learning a little bit more about where the money's going. But the answer to the question that you've asked, and I think hopefully we're trying to target, is we don't, the state's voucher system is still using public education money. And I can give you the number that we used to lose. I can tell you we just don't see it now.
Thank you. Any follow-up questions to that? Hold on, because our friends at home can't hear what you're asking.
So if the levy is passed, those dollars stay here in the district. The state doesn't get a part of that to redistribute, correct?
Correct. In other words, we get a small state share, but on the back end, we're not being deducted for choice vouchers. Now, we still may have students that receive services in other places, and we will have a balance that's taken, but it's not swept into a choice voucher. So the levy money stays here now. Yes.
All right, next question. Are there any future plans to solicit funds from the Cleveland Guardians, Cleveland Browns, Cleveland Cavaliers, community and family, Cleveland Cavaliers, community and families to build a football field and a track field?
So currently we are in conversations with external partners. We are trying to establish partnerships to have at least our football field and track done. The concern or the issue is, unfortunately, what we've run up against is that Richmond Heights is not really considered an inner city community. And all of these organizations like to donate or gift money to inner city communities. So that is where, they go first. We're on the list to be talked to, and we continue to beat down the door to see where we can benefit. So we will get things such as maybe a player will come out and read to the kids, or maybe a donation of some sort to help with our athletic facility. Maybe it'll be something with drink bottles or something of that nature. But to actually have money to build a facility or redo an area is an extraordinary ask that we are continuing to go back to them for. They do not look at Richmond Heights as in need because of our healthy tax valuation. However, as a school district, we are committed to continuing those conversations. Our director of operations, he's in the back here, Mr. King, has reached out multiple times and has established meetings with some of these entities that are upcoming in the spring, because we are trying to get on everyone's calendar of gifting. So yes, 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 we are trying.
Thank you. Any follow-up questions to that? All right. We have another. Will we and can we receive more support to our youth organization, Richmond Conquerors? Any positive support?
So we have a relationship with the Conquerors where they would practice on our field. We would share our field with them, our facility for practice. But with our area being deemed non-compliant and our own team not being able to practice there, we have not allowed any practices just out of safety. The Richmond Heights Conquerors, of course, is a league team. Our first heart does go to our current teams that are here within the school district that we have to continue to build and manage. We are working with the city, but we understand that this is a team within our city, has young people. Not all of the young people that play on the Conquerors attend Richmond Heights schools, but we are committed to being good stewards and citizens by sharing that facility, our practice area with them. But again, because our field is deemed non-compliant, we are not allowed to allow participation on the field.
All right. Thank you. Follow-up question?
Hi, my name is Cyrus Waters. I'm assistant director. I'm here stepping in for Steve Green. Some of you guys already know the director of Richmond Conquerors. I'm sorry. So you say it's redeemed non-compliant, but we see competitive teams on the field practicing on you guys' field when we feel like you guys are pushing us away from you guys. And we hear, once again, for 10 to 15 plus years, supporting Richmond, holding Richmond name on our backs, on our shoulders proudly, and competing on high levels. And we feel like we don't have no support once at all, not at all. And we're getting pushed further away from Richmond. And it's not just our concern, it's parents' concern, kid concern, or why we can't be on the field. And we, like, once again, we see Glenville or, surrounding teams coming over there and practice right next to us.
And you said, sir, your name is Mr.
Cyrus Waters.
Mr. Waters. So I'm glad that you brought that up. Again, our area is deemed non-compliant, so no one should be on the field. But I'm glad you brought that up, because we would be more than happy to sit down and talk to you about what that partnership has been. As I stated, we've always allowed for the practice area for the team, and we will love to sit down and talk about what that looks like and how you can partner with us to maybe help get some support to get that area refinished, redone, so that we can open it up. For us, we don't want anyone to be hurt, because the first time somebody gets hurt on that field, that becomes a Richmond Heights responsibility and liability. And so we're looking out not just for the coaches, but for the students, the parents as well. So Mr. King, he's in the back. We will sit down and have a conversation with you to see what that partnership will look like, so we can get it back functioning and open for the students to participate on.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing that forward. So, question I have here, and this, again, you guys are doing great, like following my flow with your questions. It seems that we don't have as many programs as other school districts. Is that true? And what do we have?
So each school district creates programming based on its need. There is a thought that we don't have anything here in Richmond Heights anymore. We have a very vibrant athletic department that is continuing to move forward. We brought back wrestling this year. So our students are competing on that stage and actually made it to sectionals. You all know that our boys basketball team, 3-time state champions. Our girls were the first time since 2015 named district champions in girls basketball. Both track teams last school year outperformed expectations by not even having a facility to practice on. We have a band that has been resurrected, and they have played. If you've been at parades or have seen videos on YouTube, they are very much growing. We have we have an aviation program. We have a maker space. So there are so many things that we have that people may not know. Yes, we have to do a better job of getting those great things out so people will know. But what we don't want is people to assume that there is nothing going on. There's nothing great going on. We have partners in the community. Mr. Hawkins and his wife, they do a literacy program here almost every Saturday for our elementary students. They're in the building. We have Dr. Ackerman, Indeed We Code. They have a coding camp that is here every summer. There are great things happening within our district, and we have to do a better job of getting it out to our community. But please don't assume nothing is happening.
In addition to everything that Ms. Brown described, my own son, Kingston, just got back from diversity camp with, he's a part of the leadership program here in Richmond Heights. And also he has the opportunity to attend every month with other surrounding students from Northeast Ohio, different sessions where they thought partner around ways to improve their education. So they attend these events at Cleveland State, Columbus, Ohio State, all around. In addition to the leadership aspect, I think Ms. Brown forgot to even mention baseball. So there are plenty of clubs. We have culinary club. We have had coding. We've had robotics. I think she mentioned makerspace. We've had sixth graders who have been certified in flying drones. We've had 12-year-olds fly airplanes. So there are a number of things that are happening here in Richmond Heights. And rather than allowing for people to say that there's nothing happening, I would love it if people online and in this room would share some of the great things that you've learned about today.
Awesome. I got a follow-up for that.
Hi, my name is Cordell Scott. I'm the head football coach and the track coach here. And just to talk about the youth programs here from an athletic standpoint, if you look at every program has an attached youth program with our basketball team. We have our AOC youth program, but also our youth camp too, where we have a basketball program that runs through the city. We work through the athletic department with the city to create. Right now I'm working on creating a flag football league. We did very well last year during the football season, and we're trying to get it going in the spring. What I'm learning now, we just have to create a community type of culture, community type of communication. If you're going to be here part of Richmond, you have to follow the system just like you would have to do at any other major suburb school. And I think that's where the disconnect, everybody's coming to take and not to put into our school and not keep our kids here. And they're so part of this program, that part of the program, but they're not identifying to say, hey, this is my school, this is my community, and I want to be here. We have summer camps that we do. I've been here 3 years. We have quality summer camps. I'm doing it, a lot of different organizations, but you don't see it filled up. So that's on our, like you said, are we communicating it? Are we getting out here as a youth program and saying, hey, we don't want to just use a facility, we want to be a part of it. We want to make sure our kids stay here. I think we have something very good of quality. Is just, are we getting it out on our end, and is our people saying, hey, this is quality, this is our culture, all right, and we're going to create our community. So it is a lot of things going on for the youth, and we're working.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michael Hawkins, and my wife Jennifer is sitting here with me. So this past January, with the support of our superintendent, with the Board of Education, my wife and I started what we call STEAM Literacy Prep. STEAM stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, Arts, and Mathematics. We believe that if we reach the kids early with training, literacy training, in reading, writing, and in oral public speaking from grades K through 5, K through 6, that'll prepare them for entry into a STEAM-based curriculum. What we learned about in recent years is this thing called the literacy gap. Literacy gap starts at birth. It progresses all the way through elementary school. So a lot of our kids aren't able to enter into STEAM-based curriculum because they can't read or they're grades behind in their literacy. So our goal here at Richmond Heights in the middle school, thanks to Mr. King, 1 hour, 3 times a month since January, is to provide free training and instruction in the area of reading, that's per the science of reading, in the area of creative writing, and also in the area of oral public speaking. We had a session today at the middle school in oral public speaking. It only lasts for 1 hour. Parents are welcome to bring their kids. We also provide free books and free take-home lunches to the students. And this is a free program. So we have 4 more sessions left starting next week at the middle school, Saturdays from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock. If anybody wants any further information, you can contact me, contact Mrs. Brown. But this is free. And this is literacy training to prepare our students to become elite communicators. Thereby, they can enter into a STEAM-based curriculum when they get to middle school, because that's where all the jobs and opportunities are at. It's in science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And this is free. We've got the support of our school board, of our superintendent, and all you have to do is bring your kids, and they'll benefit from the instruction.
Awesome. The question for you guys at home, the question was asked, why are they doing that?
Okay, I've worked in electronic design for 45 years. My wife is retired from Case Western Reserve. 14 years we spent in STEM-based outreach, Cisco Networking Academy, science and tech throughout the greater Cleveland area. We realized very little, if any, fruit. Lower income minority students simply aren't entering into STEAM-based careers or STEAM-based opportunities. And as we did our research, we discovered the reason why was because of the literacy gap, which takes place from birth all the way up through K or K5, K6. So to address the literacy gap, we determined we had to start early. So we have to reach our kids at kindergarten and then provide this kind of free instruction in reading, creative writing, and oral public speaking. We're both Toastmasters too, so that'll help them. So when they become elite communicators, they can enter into any kind of curriculum and they can master it and succeed and achieve right here in Richmond Heights. And this is free.
We love that word, free. Let me come around this way. We have another question.
It's me again. I'm sorry. This question is directed to Cordell, high school coach. What is it that you feel like we should do as an organized youth organization that's been already established? And like I said, we're in Richmond name proudly, and as you probably already know, we do have kids that we have coached that's in high school, in your Richmond high school programs. How can I word this right? I'm sorry. We, as an organization, groom the kids. And once again, before you came around, we had an age cutoff from 6 to 15. But once we realized that we had the football team, high school football team coming around, we cut our ages down to groom them to go to the high school. So I'm kind of confused on where would it be the miscommunication on it. We groom them as 6 through 12 to where they can go to high school to be coached by you and your staff. Where would it be the disconnection from?
What I'm going to do, I'm going to just interject because it sounds like you guys have a very specific conversation around sports. So what I'm loving about what we're doing here today, I see some connections being made already. So for those of you at home streaming, remember to use that email address if you have questions about the STEAM program, about sports, any of the community organizations. We will make sure that information gets funneled to the right individuals. So sounds like these 3 folks are going to have a after the meeting, or at least agree to meet. But I want to give us time to do the very last activity and then hear from our panelists and talk about next steps. Okay, is that fair? All right, thank you. All right, so last thing, let me just double check. Any questions in the chat? All right. So on your tables, and I'm going to advance the slides so those of you at home have these statements. Panelists, feel free to take a break. I know some of you didn't get a chance to finish your snacks. You can do that. What I want you to do at your tables is I want you to identify someone to be the note taker, a timekeeper, and then the person that's actually going to share out if we have time. You may not have to share out, but we do want you to have this conversation. So you have these statements or these open-ended questions on your tables. Folks at home, I'm going to put it up on the screen in a minute. And what I want you to do is take a moment and jot down your table's collective response to those statements. And let me just ask district folks, where do you want them to record their responses? Is it on the back of these papers? Oh, okay. All right, so you should see these pads. If you don't have one of these on the table, whoever your recorder is will do that. Now, there are, if you want to gauge your time, if you want to take about 2 minutes, I think, yeah, that's what I gave you, about 2 minutes per question, that should be ample enough time. So we don't want you to write a dissertation or a novel about the question. You just want to come to a consensus around it. So I'm going to give you roughly 2 minutes per question, but move through the question. I'm not going to stop you every 2 minutes, but move through those questions. For those of you at home, you have the questions there. If you want to record your responses in chat, just make sure that you number it. So if you're responding to question number 1, put number 1 and then what your response is. You do not have to rewrite the question. Okay. Are there any questions about what I'm asking you to do? All right, I'm going to set a timer for us. And again, feel free to get up, stretch your legs, refresh your beverages. You want to grab a snack, we will give you that freedom. And we will be collecting these. These will be reviewed by the board. All right, I'm taking a look at the time, and I'm going to ask you if you could finish your thought or your sentence on whatever question that you're working on. And if you want to just leave your responses in the center of the table, we'll collect those so that the board has an opportunity to review your responses and respond accordingly. Again, folks at home, if you would please list your response in the chat, we will collect those as well. This is always the hardest part as a facilitator, like breaking up the conversation. right, so let's talk about next steps. First of all, I would like for you guys to give yourselves a round of applause for being here on this beautiful Saturday afternoon. What it shows to me, again, I'm not a member of your community, per se. I'm right next door, but it speaks volumes to have such a significant number of you out on a day like today to hear, ask questions, and to participate in what's going on in your community. So kudos to you. Hats off to the district for hosting this. But this is just the beginning. So keep your eye out around mid-June. You will see mailers, information on the district website, etc., about the second of this series. The topics will be different, the activities will be different, and I can tell you the location is going to be different. So tell a neighbor, like your charge is to bring someone with you the next time, or two people, or your whole block, but bring someone with you the next time you come. As an exit activity, because I told you guys I was a educator, I was a teacher, so we call it an exit ticket. So your ticket to exit today is this. I would like to know why you voted the way you voted for the ballot issue that was just up. You don't have to tell me that you voted positive or negative. Just what prompted you to make that decision? Okay, so that's your exit ticket. As you leave today, please grab some refreshments. Make sure that you leave your responses to the questions on the table. And I'm sorry. If anybody wants to share out loud why they voted the way they voted. Okay. Oh.
I get a prize for being first. No, I voted for the levy, actually. I voted because I felt the school district is a representative of the city. The school did a great job with my children, and if that's what they need to continue to do things and have the children engaged, absolutely, I want a strong school system.
I voted for it as well. I'm a product of public schools. Both my kids are actually in the school district. And I've seen how far the school districts have came since the 13 years I lived in the city, from a failing school district to what it is now. And I feel that our buildings and we need the infrastructure for the 21st century. And that's the reason I voted for it.
I voted for this levy because I believe in my heart that a community is only as strong as its school system. If you have a weak school system, I feel that you have a weak community. You got to look at it like this. We got neighboring communities around Richmond Heights, and the properties are somewhere around $250,000+ houses. Now you got Richmond Heights with $250,000 average house property, and you got Beechwood. And if the first thing you do when you look into a community is you look into the school systems. And if you have a weak school system, then you have a weak situation on where you want to buy your properties at. I mean, where you would put or invest in that community. So if you got Beechwood over here and they got a school system with a 4 scale, and then you got with $250,000+ houses, and then you got Richmond Heights over here with a 3 school system, where would you invest your property at? Where would you buy into that community at? So that's one of the reasons why I voted yes for the levy.
Are there any no's? Oh, okay. Wonderful. Anybody that didn't vote that wanted to share? Okay, I got a bad person. Let me get back there. And for those of you, because I do want to make sure we end this at 2 as we promised. So if you could jot down your response again on your exit ticket, we'd appreciate it.
I voted no. Probably will continue to vote no. the day I've been here 21 years. The day I literally moved here, you guys was trying to pass a levy. This was a massive levy. And we're not talking on they throw this $100,000 house around. The average home in Richmond Heights is over 200 and some thousand. Mine is at 3 something. So we're talking a massive levy here. And also I felt like it was sneaky. It seemed like I only found out about it like a week and a half before the actual election. So the information wasn't out there for me. And it's a massive levy. I mean, a massive levy. So I voted no.
Thank you, and thank you for sharing that.
Of course, I voted yes. But I am looking back to when we first moved here in Richmond Heights, and our children weren't even born. We did have a little infant, but we were not thinking at all about the schools, period. And when we had visitors over to our home, and there were a lot of them said, "Do you realize that you have initiative on the ballot? You'll be voting on something." I said, "Oh, what is it?" I didn't even know, believe it or not. I said, "Oh, you're voting for." They would say, "Oh," I said, "We just voted on a levy. It just seemed like a year ago." "Oh, you have another one on the ballot." "Oh, okay. I'll have to definitely double check that." Now, pay in mind, this is when I'm not really concerned about anything of that. So I'm just, concerned about raising my babies or baby at the time, and whatever else I have to do during that day. Maybe if there's any extracurricular I want to do at the parks or whatever, because I did get out quite often. But I was not considering about anything other than that. Yes, we did go to the library, but anything other than that, I really wasn't really informed. So I cannot say anything about anybody else, why they don't know. When I was like at that point, I didn't really know either. And I had to keep socially involved and to know that what was actually I had to be responsible for. So this is another situation. Maybe there's others in the same predicament that wouldn't really know what's happening, and they need to know. Somebody that comes in just has a baby or two, or maybe they even have children not even in school. Because I was actually at that point, and I had to become involved because I was actually told, "Do you know what your district and school is asking of you?" And I says, "Oh, I guess I'll better find out." I knew last year when I had to be at the polls, and so that's another situation that we have to think right now. Where are we sitting? Yes, I know what's going on, but do other people that are just moving in know? And what should they know? And how can we present it to them where they will understand it? And yes, we were paying high taxes then, but we wanted good things for our upcoming family at the time, and we still do for the families that are moving in. And so when I look around and I go, I'm driving around in another city, what do I look at? What do their schools look like? Because it's telling me how much their children are important and their youth are important to them. And then if you see a nice, beautiful building, you know that they think that their youth and their young people are important. So that's another thing that we need to be considered, having a consideration of. So if we look at some of those questions, that may give us an idea of how to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. I would love to, but it's 2. I know it's 2:00 now. Yeah, I want to honor everyone's time. So if you have any additional comments you'd like to share, please on the exit ticket. I know city council members and members of the panel will be sticking around, so feel free to talk with them and come back. I want to see you in June. Make sure you use the email. If you feel like, oh, I think the information's out there and I may not have gotten it, that email info is going to be your lifeline to any communication. And bring a friend. I may have a gift for the person that has the most people they bring with them. I just might. All right. Thank you guys for a great afternoon. Enjoy the sunshine, and we'll see you in June.